We are here with Dawn Anthony. She is a teaching artist at Studio 345. She is a lecturer and a performer, and we're so excited to have you here tonight. So Dawn, tell me a little bit about what kind of teaching artist? What does that mean?
A teaching artist is someone typically who is an expert in their particular field, whether that means, well, whatever the field may be, and they teach their craft to someone else. So for me, I'm working with high school students, mainly from 9th grade all the way up to 12th grade.
Okay, awesome. Wow. I hear you have a special treat for us.
Yes!
All right, so we're going to let her take it away.
My name is Dawn Anthony, and the title of this book is called The Gift Way Up in the Closet. And it's a book that shares with young people the opportunity that they have to seek and discover and to exercise the gifts and talents that they have.
So now we get to be with Marion McKinney. She is a published author. All of these beautiful books back here, and she's going to tell us about the self-publishing process. So, Marion, tell me a little bit about it. What's it like to be a self-published author?
Okay, I started writing in 2005. At that time, I had all these stories, so I started making files and putting them in a file. Every time I had an idea, I would put it in that file, and I had all the stories, and I was like, now what do I do with them? So, first of all, I searched the internet. I went to the library, read a lot of books, and was trying to figure out, as far as a traditional publisher, that's where I wanted my books to be published, with a traditional publisher. And soon found out that's kind of hard to do. So then I found information about self-publishers, and I decided that I would send my manuscripts to self-publishers, and that's what I did, and got it. My first book was accepted by a publisher, self-publisher, and then several of the other ones, and I currently have 12 books that I published. 4 are out of print, but I'm still thinking about rewriting those, and I'll still have 12, and then there's about 3 more that I have manuscripts for. As soon as I finish those, then hopefully those get published.
Well, and I think that's the misconception with self-publishing. A lot of people think self-publishing is printing it off on your printer and distributing it among your friends. What's the difference?
Okay, you have to send, first of all, you have to find a self-publisher, because I can't publish I don't have a printing process.
Right.
And so and it's not like they accept your book, but because it's not like a traditional publisher. So I send my manuscript. They ask you, do you want it edited? You want to pay for the editing? I pay for the editing. I pay for them to the layout, and then for them to actually publish the book. And it's on their website. It's on Amazon, most of my books. But you have to pay for it. It's not free. But still, it's not like I do it myself.
Right. It's like a partnership. So a lot of times self-publishing is like a partnership. So it's amazing. So what's your writing style? Got a lot of books right here. So who do you write for?
Well, some of them are ideas I had. I was a teacher, and so some of the ideas are from my experiences with teaching, how the students act. Like one, Cinnamon is jealous. You got a best friend one day, the next day you don't. She's not your best friend. And then some are like when I was in kindergarten. I've got a book titled The First Day of Kindergarten, and I could say my ABCs and I could count to 100. So I thought, I'm going to write a book about a little girl that can do that the first day of school. So that's what that book is about. So just a lot of my experiences. One, Melody's Dilemma. My brother, and he never did any housework, so I kind of wrote that book in regard to that. I had to do the housework, and he got to play out. So finally came up with a solution where he could do the housework also.
Well, where can they find your books?
You can find my books. Create Space is the publisher that I've got my books published through, and Amazon.com. And you can buy them from me.
Do you have a website?
I have a website.
All right.
So.
Well, thank you, Marion.
Okay, thank you.
So fun. I love getting to see all these different books and all these authors.
It's exciting. I'm excited about them. Hopefully everybody else will be too.
Yeah. Y'all go read them.
Okay, thank you.
We are with Cynthia Stitt. Yes. Cynthia is also a self-published author. So Cynthia, I'm going to ask you as well, what's the self-publishing process like for you?
The self-publishing process was an awesome experience because when I began this process, I knew it wasn't just for one book. So I actually established my own publishing company. So setting it all up, it took a lot of time, dedication, and a lot of critiquing myself.
Yeah.
So it has been a blessing.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, what's your writing style?
My writing style, I deal with life, real life situations, but also giving others, the readers, a way out, a choice, and they can take from the book. They usually find themselves in one of the characters and they can attach to it, but then they can make a decision at the end. It's about relationship, it's about love, and it's about being successful.
Okay, so give me an example. Tell me about, like, what's one of your ways out, if you will.
Okay, one of the ways out. My first book, my initial book was No Longer the Victim Because I Choose to Live, and it was about my life, and I had to choose to not walk around with a victimized mind in my lifetime because it carried over until I was made whole and I was healed. Could I not live the life I could live? So that's what it was about. And I am successful, not in monetary ways, but in my life and enrichment, what I've had to do with my children, my husband, and moving on with life.
That's so cool, and we can find all that. Look at these beautiful books you've got. I love what you've got. So that's a little bit of the inspiration for your subject matter, just life and things you've gone through, friends have gone through.
Yes.
What?
Not just what I've been through, but what I see others go through.
Okay.
And not necessarily have to be my friends, but somebody I may have helped out.
Okay.
And the last book with the elephant in the room, it deals with love.
Okay.
That's the last one, and I actually did an independent film because a lot of things we don't want to deal with or share about, but we have to. We call it the elephant in the room. The Word of God calls it the truth. So that's what we're dealing with, is the truth about love.
That's so cool. So she also has written, I mean, that's the cool thing about writing and self-publishing is it's not just books, it's not just children's books. She also told me she wrote the film, script for this.
I did.
Which is amazing. Tell us about this script writing process, which is totally different, I would suspect.
It was definitely totally different. Trying to make sure you don't have long sentences. You cannot do a script and have two sentences to say every time you say something.
Yeah.
So you have to really be concise, and you have to really know the angles and understand what the people are seeing on this film should be something they can be drawn into.
Yeah.
So that was my whole entire process, trying to make sure what the person is looking at and they can relate and they can see it.
Yeah.
And then they can definitely make a decision.
And that's true. Like, you think about Shonda Rhimes and her monologues.
Exactly.
Those monologues are not easy to write. They're not easy to speak.
That's right.
But so writing is like this amazing process. So I love it. Thanks so much.
Thank
what else
you.
do you want our viewers to know?
I just wanted to share with the viewers, if you have it inside, take the time and put it down. Write it down. You can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it. And remember, deal with all those elephants in the room, which is the truth, and know that love doesn't hurt.
That's so awesome. Well, one more thing. Where can they find these books?
Well, I have a website, and it's www.cynthiapstitt.com. Again, cynthiapstitt.com. So anybody here, they can come to the table and I can share more information.
Yeah.
But all of my information is on my website. Even if you just Google Cynthia P. Stitt, it'll bring up my website.
All right.
And there's poetry on there for you too.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Good to talk to you. All right. So now we're here with Andrea Lynn Samuels. So excited. I loved hearing your story earlier. It's June 3rd, a very special day for you. So tell me, why is June 3rd a special day for you and what it means to be here and about the book?
Love to. So June 3rd is very special because today's my late dad's birthday.
Yeah.
And he died from cancer July 2008.
Okay.
So this is an extra special day because he loved the art. And this particular book is very dear to me because it takes his art and my poetry and it blends the two.
Yeah.
And then I talk about some of the experiences that my mom and I had with my dad through his battle of cancer.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was the publishing experience like for you? Therapeutic, or was it hard? I mean, what was that like?
The publishing experience for me was very therapeutic, and it was easy because I have a good publisher.
Okay.
So actually, the publisher was waiting on me to give them at its back because I was holding back on releasing the book.
Okay.
So they were very prompt. They were very on time with their deadlines and what they needed from me.
Yeah.
So for me, the publishing journey with them was fantastic.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's kind of, I mean, What even made you want to? A lot of people deal with death, and a lot of people deal with it in different ways. What made you actually want to put it down and share it with people?
What I wanted to do is just that, because so many people said to me that I went through the cancer with my dad very strong. So I wanted to be able to share that experience with other people so that I can encourage them to go through it, and that they have a support system that can help them get through the journey.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So where can people find this book?
Park Road Books in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Also available online at Amazon.com, booksamillion.com, as well as BarnesandNoble.com.
Okay, that's great. So tell me one story of someone who's kind of gotten in touch with you. Do you have a great story you can share with people? Because I think we all forget the impact that books have on others as well. So I bet you have a really cool story that you could share. I want to hold up the picture of your dad too.
I actually have a couple, but there's one story I can think of. There is a friend of mine who was thinking about writing a book, and I would do posts on Facebook and kind of talk about the journey for the first book. Okay, now it's at this stage, now it's at that stage, now I'm getting ready to get the proof. And so she now is a publisher. A published author.
That's so cool.
Yes, so going through my journey, experiencing that and sharing that with people, encourage somebody else to go ahead and go through the process as well. So it's just cool to sit back and see someone else publish their book.
That's awesome. Isn't that the beauty of books?
Yes,
bringing us together?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait for people to see this. Get your book.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. So we have hit the motherlode of authors. I'm super excited. What I think a lot of people don't realize that writing books can be really isolating. So it's very good to find a writer group. A lot of my author friends have writer groups that they write with. They challenge each other. They bounce ideas off of each other, and you all get to come together with a publisher. So we have Mindy here, and Mindy is now with Warren Publishing.
Yes.
So will you tell me about Warren Publishing?
Sure. Warren Publishing has been a business for nearly 30 years, and we are located in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we have a wide range of titles, and obviously we brought 4 of our awesome books here today, but we range from nonfiction, fiction, children's books. We have the gamut. So we are very proud of our authors. We have what I think is the greatest is we've got books that a lot of traditional stores don't always carry. We've got a really distinct market of, we've got books about Down syndrome. We've got just a nice diverse quality of our books. So we've got a really great collection.
That's the beauty of Charlotte. So anytime I get to talk about authors, and my station is all over the western part of North Carolina, I'm just so pleased with the authors that we have in this region. So I'm going to just go down. I'm going to talk to Mabel first. Mabel.
How are you?
Good. Now, will you tell me a little bit about your book and what's the story behind it?
Sharecropper is a story of the Old South. Say during the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's dedicated to my grandparents who raised me. John and Mary Grenbigger, an Army veteran sharecropper and a literate maid who could not read. And they trained me. I started reading when I was like 2 years old. So it has some really good stories in here, not only historical stories, has some funny stories in here about being a kid of the Old South, going to church all day long. The only thing we ever did was went to church. The preacher was preaching, his false teeth fell out. There was a story in there about communion where kids we thought it was lunch. So this is a great book. You will enjoy reading. It's only 85 pages. Lots of pictures, lots of old pictures of my grandparents, great-grandparents, and thank you so much.
Miss Mabel, I love it. I can't wait to read it. So now we have Jessica. Now, Jessica, you have a children's book, which is always a special place. If anybody on here watches me on WBTV, you know I've named my cat after Skippy John Jones, the greatest children's book ever created. So I have a special place for children's books. So tell me about your book and your writing process.
I'm the author of When I Grow Up, and basically the book was written, it's a multicultural book, and I wanted to make sure that it was an inclusive book. So the book kind of journeys through careers. It's a broad, I didn't want to focus on like careers that you hear about all the time. My goal was to focus on careers that we kind of don't hear about a lot, that think outside of the box and push children to dream big and to become whatever it is they desire. Not to have any limits, just kind of to know, well, if there's anything that, how can I say, for example, for example, I want to say is urban planner. And with that, it's very unique. It's not something that you hear about all of the time. So I wanted to kind of focus on those types of careers in particular. And the illustrations within the book do a great job of actually capturing what those careers look like, so kids can kind of use their imagination. And it's a great book for parents to actually read at bedtime. It's great for schools, educators. It's one of those books that you just kind of can't put down because you're constantly learning every time that you read it. But for example, a picture here of Urban Planner, just kind of give you an idea of the illustrations, what they look like, what that career consists of.
That's awesome. I love it. So we're going to talk to Mindy next, but then I'm going to ask both of them a special question. So tell me about Squiggly the Squirrel.
I'm Mindy McLaughlin. I'm the author of Squiggly the Squirrel. And Squiggly's a nearly true story. He came to us at our house in a big oak tree, and we started making stories about him, gave him the name Squiggly, and now he's got his own chapter book. So it's a story about how his forest land gets taken down by excavators and dump trucks, and they build a subdivision instead, but he meets two wonderful friends, Ranger and Mackenzie.
That's awesome. So both of them have children's books. One is more of a chapter book, so for a little bit more of an advanced reader, but both of you have amazing illustrations. So the beauty, a lot of times the beauty of children's books is also the illustration. So how did y'all go about finding your illustrator?
Well, the great thing about working with Warren Publishing is that they kind of have a great selection of illustrators. So they do a great job of kind of pairing you with kind of this vision, this suits the vision that you have for your book. Yeah. So it was a great process from the choices that they had to kind of pair us up to see like fits best what we wanted to accomplish.
Okay. Anything else?
The illustrations were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just perfect and spot on exactly how I wanted it to look.
Yeah. Isn't that cool to just watch your book come to life? You probably feel the same way.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
just digging up those pictures and seeing life. Like, you
Yes.
reminded me of like my grandmother.
Yeah,
like,
good.
Kind of what oh God, what mom would have come up with. My dad growing up on a farm. So now we're with Susan, and Susan's making me think about my days growing up on the lake. But maybe not. What is White Lake about?
Well, White Lake is about the unexpected way a predictable life can turn. The White Lake is actually a lake in Wisconsin. My character is from there, but she lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's just like anybody you would know, your next door neighbor, yourself, just living a life. She has a family, and something really bad happens. She's now living in St. Simons, Georgia when that happens, and it's basically her putting her life back together again. And you know what I'm finding is a lot of women really can relate to that because everybody's got something happen.
Yeah, everybody really has. So I want to ask all of you, and whoever chime up, what's the writing process like? Do you just sit down and see what happens? Do you have a whiteboard? Like, what is it like for y'all?
Just sit down and start typing.
You're just a sit down and start typing kind of person.
That's it.
Is that y'all? Yeah.
I'm more of an outliner. I like to actually outline like what I'm going to write about, what my goal is, who my audience is, what my purpose is. And kind of walk through what my character's going to look like. I like to visualize everything from start to finish. So my pad, pencil, pens, highlighters, everything.
I'm an odd writer. I might get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and I jot it down on paper, and then the next day I kind of transpose it. But I have like a little spot on the water. I'm not even telling where my little spot is.
I'm not going to be there next week.
I have a little place on the lake that I just kind of go and sit down by myself and take just a notebook and start writing. Then I have to come back home and type it up. But one thing about Warren Publishing, and I do have to really plug it, they give you this. She gives you so much assistance. Because I'm new at this. I'm like a neophyte. I've never written a book before, and really did not know the process. So it's like a one-stop shop. Kind of help you do a little bit of everything and train you, because the process is a little scary. But kind of the system is great.
Well, Miss Mabel, you were my perfect lead-in to my next question. So, how can, if someone's interested in writing, or they have a book already published in their mind, or they've already written it, what's a good way to get in touch with you, and what's the process like?
Sure, and the best right now, if your book hasn't been published out there yet, and you have a manuscript, we're happy to take a look at it. You can visit our website at warrenpublishing.net, and so we have a tab at the top that'll tell you all the details on how to submit your manuscript for review. We review and accept about 20% of the manuscripts that are submitted. That being said, also we'd love to have people follow us on Twitter and of course Facebook, and that will help keep you abreast of all the new things we've got going on, as well as open submission times and what we're specifically looking for when we are.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm taking all of these with me, because I'll talk about them on my book website, but where can everyone else go and buy these books? Where can they go?
They can find the books at Amazon.com. They can find them at my website, warrenpublishing.net. They can also get them typically at barnesandnoble.com, or also your area Barnes & Noble. You may be able to find them there as well. And I know a lot of them have their own websites as well. I think Sue has one, Mindy has one that's up and coming. I don't know if she's finished yet. So they all have their websites as well that you can find them on. So,
Google our name, absolutely.
Yeah, yep, Google your name,
and of course, Warren Publishing as well.
All right, well, thanks, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank